Alright, welcome back to the Pumpernickel podcast.
Pumpernickel!
We were off last week just due to some sickness and just a bad scheduling in general.
Eddie had the plague.
Eddie did have the suds, a major case of the suds.
Dude, it was, all good.
But we're good. He was green for a little while there, but we're all good. I guess we'll just start off like how we always start off with just the same stuff.
Well, we can introduce ourselves.
Oh, we can introduce ourselves.
I was said 30 seconds ago.
If you were listening.
I listened.
Why do we put this hard work into pre-planning if we're not going to stick to the script?
Jesus Christ. Well, clearly.
10 seconds later.
Shut up. Anyway, I'm Elvin.
Oh, God. Nathaniel.
Eddie.
White Mike.
Black Mike.
AKA, we were going to give him Wakanda Mike, but I feel like that name is too proud for that. Too proud of a name for Black Mike, so he'll forever just be Black Mike to me.
Is there a white version of Wakanda that we can give to White Mike?
It's everywhere else.
It's called Michael.
We didn't find a
How come we don't have a WET? It's like because every other channel on TV is white entertainment television.
No, but...
Yeah, like NAACP. Why isn't WAACP?
Right, dude, do they know what the C stands for? Yeah. They know what the C is for?
What does he think the N stands for?
Yeah, right. Nigga, entertainment, television.
The NET?
Jeez, we're on the net. Anyway, we back. I guess we might as well, anything else before I get attacked for not knowing the pre-roll?
No.
Well, to be fair, it was 14 seconds ago.
I mean, true, but still.
No, I'd say we're just 5 guys sitting in somebody's living room in Atlanta. Let's fire this shit off.
All right.
And fries. Sorry.
Fries.
You said 5 guys.
Oh.
And fries.
I see what you did there.
This guy stinks! This guy stinks!
Now let's start it off. So I guess the initial question was, or I guess observation was, deaf people in different languages have different signs. So someone who speaks English in sign language cannot talk to someone who speaks French in sign language.
Yep.
Which means that if you are a interpreter for sign languages, that has to be one of the rarest jobs on the planet.
Yeah, American Sign Language is unique to America.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also just not English countries. Like if you go to Australia, it's a different sign language there. So if you go to Australia, you can talk to someone and understand them. But if 2 deaf people may get lost in a bit of translation.
So there's also British Sign Language?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I mean, like, sign language
Australia.
is essentially just like spoken language. So if you were in your own country, your country has its own sign language based off of...
Based off of the country's alphabet or whatever.
Well, based off of both the alphabet and just
or phonetic sounding
culture. There are certain things that only we do in America, so we have sign language for those things.
Yeah.
But you can't take that to somewhere else that doesn't understand that part of the culture.
Question about that then, because I'm not sure. Maybe we'll have to Google this, and people listening will maybe have to Google it. But so every country, French, Portuguese, or whatever the case may be, has their own unique sign language.
Yep.
But I feel like isn't it also more specific to the group? Like if a teacher taught you sign language, like what's it to say that is there is there a systematic across all British sign languages?
No, because there's no universal sign language.
Well, no, even then, let's say a sign language in America.
The middle finger.
Like if a kid gets taught a certain way to say I want to drink milk, and another kid's taught slightly different. Isn't that just more regionally because we don't have that many deaf people to work with, so it's just in our area and we know that this is the way we say that.
I thought that sign language in general was more limited anyway. There's only so many things you can convey. Like how in English we have 50 freaking words for one thing.
Right.
There's a lot of spelling.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can say it. And some have different nuances, some are the exact same thing, but I don't know if sign language has it to that extent.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, sign language is incredibly nuanced because the space that is in front of you is used in order to convey what you're trying to do, as well as facial expressions, eyebrows, and pretty much your entire body when you're trying to convey something. So it's
Yeah, I mean, what I mean is that, like, I'm not saying it doesn't have nuance. I'm saying that to the degree that spoken language does, in that, I mean, in and of itself, spoken language has all of those things, as well as, like, the ability to speak nuance. So the way we talk, like, I could say fuck you, or I could be like fuck you. You know, like, there's a nuance in the way you say things as well. So there's that.
Is there a sarcasm sign language?
Well, even,
Sure
even like colloquially speaking too, like
Right.
isn't there like a regional thing, like maybe rural sign language as opposed to like sign language?
Yeah,
in the city?
going with what you were saying though, like, I just think that's like, just like colloquially, it's like just the words you choose, right? So even if you were doing sign language, it'd be like, you know, like everyone has a specific way in which they talk. I'm sure there's a specific way in which you sign. Like, there's a way that you're accustomed to sign.
Well, like if two people from the same area know sign language, and one person doesn't follow the
I want to speak up a little bit.
Get a quiet voice.
I'm sorry. No,
I'm very gentle.
Bob Ross over here.
Oh.
happy little accidents. If two people from the same area and one person is signing but not using the proper sign lingo to properly convey sign language grammar, then to the other person it could sound like that person has a foreign accent.
Oh my god. How do you speak with a German accent and English in Braille?
He holds his knuckles so differently than I hold my knuckles.
Right.
So, thinking about it, then I wonder which country has the better sign language, because
How do you define better?
Italians.
let me
Italians speak in sign language
Already.
Well, what I mean by better or more improved is like, you know how our sign language, I'm assuming, I don't know, like you guys were saying, it's depending, you use a symbol to say hello or to say the English word hello,
Yeah.
construct a sentence, right? Mm-hmm. But what if someone decided, why not just make movements more efficient to display the meaning of like hunger or an emotion in a more efficient way? Just like there's Aborigines that have different, like, even within their own like rural languages, a word or a sound means, by the inflection, can mean 6 to 7 different things.
Right.
Without you having to construct the full-blown sentence, it's going to take like a minute, I don't know.
You think like more like kanji, like where a symbol means
Right.
the whole
Kind
thing?
of like that thing. I don't know. Like, is that like
I mean, like
maybe?
there
They do kind of have that.
there are definitely shorthands for certain things. Like
No pun intended.
no pun intended.
I was trying to laugh track.
Is that what a baby signs? It's shorthand?
This guy.
But yeah, no, like if I'm hungry and I want to go get food, I'm not like going to write out or sign out, excuse me, like
I'm
an
hungry.
entire like I'm hungry. Like there's I'm gonna like rub my stomach.
Yeah, hungry.
Yeah.
Just not even the whole thing.
Right. Like there's, you know what I mean? There's a more efficient way to say you're hungry instead of sounding just to say, hey, I am hungry.
Yeah.
And go through all these motions.
Yeah.
I think there's signs for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's definitely signs for that kind of stuff. But depending on what you're trying to say, there are also different levels of grammar for sign language.
Man, that's crazy.
That's insane, yeah.
I'm sorry, I keep going back to someone who's since English sign does not translate into Tokyo sign, that there's someone who is a sign-to-sign interpreter for like the UN.
I'm assuming the UN has to have someone that does that. Yeah. That does.
How do you get into that kind of job?
You
Study
learn.
You learn a bunch of
linguistics,
sign
right?
language.
Different thing,
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, who thinks to like, you know what I want to do when I grow up? I want to be a sign-to-sign interpreter.
Maybe you just have like family experience. Like,
Yeah, I mean, like
uncle
typically, if you get into that kind of profession, usually you were
already destined for that.
Destined for the sign. I was born in the sign.
you've got somebody that you're close to that is disabled, and you
Right.
pick
I
up that
guess.
skill in order to communicate with them, and then you're like, oh man, like maybe y'all go on a trip or something. You're like, I know how to sign, and that person has absolutely no idea what you're talking about, and you're like, oh, there's different signs, and then you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna learn this sign so that we can communicate, and then you just keep doing it.
It's got to be a high-paying job.
I figure because of scarcity.
Yeah.
How valuable your knowledge is to that kind of field. Because even though, like, I don't know what the populations are, and like, I know they're smaller, but still, it's something that's like
Yeah, because you have like one person in the world who can do it.
Right, you have to be the one to lead to be the head of the sign department at like the UN, because there has to be the department.
There's got to be
The committee and like people that are spent.
If you know one of those people is deaf.
No, and I know people who study, and I forgot I'll have to look it back up because this is a podcast a different podcast that I heard ages ago, where this speech, and I don't think she's a neuroscientist, but like a speech specialist, and she does research with like language and how societies have developed and how languages affect your brain.
Okay.
And she was saying that like the Germanic languages have a more harsher view, like the language has then made your brain think differently in more harsher tones, such that like when people in English or in German describe a bridge, you describe a bridge in more functional manners, like a bridge is rigid, it's supposed to be stable, sturdy, right?
Yeah.
In English we would describe a bridge sturdy, stable because we want functionality, we want it to work, practicality. Whereas in like Italian or Spanish, you may say, what a beautiful bridge, or what a elongated bridge. You would use more like decorative descriptors before you got to stability, which kind of is like thinking of at least more Pacific thinking, that kind of thing.
It also, going along the same lines, I know what you're talking about. It's called linguistic determinism, and it's like the idea that not just with going with exactly what you're talking about, like the idea that you're going with your thoughts and your process and your psychology are 100% based on the words you know.
Right.
And so, like in Japanese or Chinese or a lot of Asian languages, like there isn't necessarily a future tense, and because of that, people are planning for the future better because they have to say like Sunday I do blank, so like Sunday I do cook or whatever. So you know what I mean? Like
I do laundry.
Yeah, I do laundry, right? Instead of I will, like the will throws off a lot of because it's like probabilistic, and so like we don't plan for the future as well as a lot of other countries or a lot of other languages, quote unquote, do because the nature of our language
because of the flexibility
and the flexibility that it allows you. Yes, so it's like it's all types of like just like with a tree, like. For anybody who, like, if you only know the word tree, every tree looks the same. If you know like birch versus oak versus maple, like you can spot the differences. You have a word to correlate with that, so things look different. It's the same thing like how a rich person can tell a good suit. Like to us, well not us, because Eddie and I'm sure a few of y'all are probably good with suit telling, but it's like for those of us like me who can't see a good suit from a bad suit, they all look like suits.
The uninitiated.
Right, for the uninitiated, like, but like if you know the terms to describe the parts of a suit, like the cuff and all of this, you understand.
Well, yeah, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, exactly. You don't exactly, and you don't. Even if you don't even know what it is, if you give a person a word for that thing, they then begin to search for it. It becomes their reality, so it adds to what they know.
I just see like Elvin at a Goodwill putting on like
Is this a fine
it's got
suit?
like two patches. This is a fine coat.
This is a good coat. Who would give this coat away?
Goes into
I'll
the
take your
shop.
finest petticoat.
Yeah, and I grab the hobo stick and walk out the
stick
front.
with a handkerchief set. Walks up. This is a fine coat.
This is a fine coat indeed.
Isn't that
How much
fine?
for this?
Walks up to the Dappers Gentleman Club.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hello, fellow suit wearers.
I have the required.
I'm required uniform for this.
Yeah, the brain's crazy.
Yeah, it is. It really is that way.
Because you're right, because the brain is processing it. Like you may see them, but the brain, because it doesn't understand, it won't hook it. It's just like
Just a sack of fat with lines in it.
Whoa, that's actually a funny but true way to put it.
Yeah.
It's like it's a sack of shit.
Yeah, but there's a, and I know next time we'll do more research so I can remember the specific terms for like, what's that disease that people have that sometimes some can't recognize faces? Like they can see faces, but you just can't
I know what you're talking about.
between.
It's like the opposite
Like
of
you
pareidolia.
can't differentiate between like two people right next to each other, even though they have different facial structures.
So, I don't know, this sort of relates, but it was years ago when I saw it was like a Discovery Channel special or something.
Yeah.
like you go to the doctor, like the New Age doctors that have the new tests, like the dots on the wall, it's like in a circle.
Yeah.
You have to recognize different colored dots or whatever, and it goes around in a circle. So they did this, but they did it with 2 or 3 different groups of people. They did it with like a regular American person.
I know where this is going.
And then somebody who like I think
Russia?
No.
Oh.
They might have done that as well. I don't remember that one, but they did it with someone in like Central Africa, like someone who like still wore like the large thing around the neck, had the thing on the lip, that type of African. And they did
tribal Africa.
Exactly. The American person could distinguish blues in different colors in a totally different way than the African person could. So the African person, they showed on the screen all the different blues, and like to me, because I'm used to looking at blue, I can see all the different blues, no problem.
Yeah, the different shades, the different tones.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Different hues of blue.
Right.
So I'm used to looking at the ocean or the sky or whatever.
Right.
But they show this African person looking at it, and they show all the same exact hues of blue. It's all the same shit to them.
Right, it's just the same blue, yeah.
But they switch to green, and they have like one hue difference in these greens. And I'm looking at it looks like the same fucking green to me.
But they can see the...
Because they're used to looking at all the different trees and picking out plants that they can eat, and have to work with, and need to deal with every day. So they can see like one hue difference in greens, but can't see 30 hue differences in blue because they never see blue.
Yeah, this is the same with, they did that type of test with like people who work in like paint shops. Because it was just to check to see how they were in the paint shop. People were disgusting.
Yes, I've seen that.
Yeah, they could see shit like a shade off. They could see every hue, every shade. There's a game online that somebody made up that it was like a little, not like, it's like a Flash style game, but I just fucked around and was messing with it because I wanted to get good with it. But it's like this, as you play the game, like there's like, it starts off, there's like different levels and you can either have 9 or 16 or like 20 something or like whatever. But it's like it's a matrix of colors, and you're supposed to spot the one color that's off in hue in each of them. And it starts off easy. It'll be like this one's hella off, and as you get better and better, it gets bigger, and then it also the options get smaller, and then it gets closer in color until you fuck it up. And so it's really cool. But it trained me as well that way. But it's an interesting topic.
Yeah, those people they work at the Pantone is what it's called.
Yeah.
And their eyes are so good that they're the ones calibrating the fucking machine.
Yeah,
that
right.
reads the colors.
Right, because they're that disgusting at them colors.
Yes.
There's still not a camera that can produce a high enough definition picture just like our eyes can, right?
Right, yeah. The human brain is the most technologically advanced.
I mean,
and yet we still play Mario Kart.
I wonder though, like we're talking about earlier about deaf people and the Braille, like is their sense of color that much more?
Like Daredevil, where he's got the super hearing?
Well,
what do you see? Black.
But deaf people who can't hear, like we were talking about the sign language and Braille, like is their vision, are they just like a little bit better at spotting out the colors? I imagine they would be.
Well, they say when you dull one sense, the others grow, but is that true?
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know. This thing's I've heard since a kid, but like.
Yeah, I was reading something about the guy who patented the use of the blackest black color.
Oh, that's like a new object, right?
It's like Vanta Black.
Yeah.
And he has the rights. No other artist or anyone can use it. Only he can. So some other artist got a patent for the Pinkest Pink. And the only condition was everyone can use it except that guy. And the thing is, if you're watching a video on it, you can't see it. Because like you said, the camera can't pick out.
So this patent is expiring in, 30 years?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
But the black is black. But,
yeah.
like, if you want to see how pink it is, you have to see it in person.
Well, he messed up because that patent's only, the patent would be effective for 30 years. After which point you have to resubmit with making changes.
I don't even think you can do that.
Well, it's like it's a smart move, kind of like the smart slap in the face, like the Trader Joe's guy. If you know that story or not, the $2 Chuck.
Oh yeah.
His wife divorced him, got half the money in the settlement, half the Trader Joe's in the divorce.
Yeah.
So he sells $2 Chuck at zero profit.
Yeah.
She gets 50% of nothing.
Yeah.
She gets half profit or something. So
yes.
He gets it so it breaks even.
Correct.
No, but you know what he patented, Mike? It wasn't the color, it's the process to make the color. Because then once you patent that process, no one can make it, even if they wanted to, right?
Yeah.
Like there's probably a specific process to make this color, and once you patent that, they can't make that color.
Nibbler poop black?
Unless you can prove that your way of making the black is different.
Right.
But in 30 years' time, it expires, and with something that specific, you probably can't make the small changes.
Yeah, but if you're running hard for 30 years, that's probably enough time. If you can't get it done in 30 years, you ain't getting it done.
Yeah.
3 decades is a long time, man.
Yeah. That's true. There's people who do that and develop all these colors and just patent it. And it's like, wow.
Yeah, because was it Richard Petty Blue?
Yeah.
Painted his car blue. He had a bunch of leftover paint cans and mixed them in a bucket and stirred and got a blue and painted his car with it. And now he's patented his own fucking blue.
Dickhead.
Yeah.
But that happens on a random side note with companies all the time. Like, companies get sued off bullshit like that. Like,
Yeah.
where they get, like, it's our color, that's our... Like, some asshole patented the shape of an eye, and it's just like, okay, well, you can't use that shape for your product. So, yeah, companies lose millions of dollars a year.
Up to what? Like, up to, like, 20% overlap on whatever. Like, there's different thresholds depending on the patent.
Right.
We discussed it back when I was in grad school. You talked about that, like the copyright law or whatever.
Yeah.
That what you're talking about specifically we talked about because
Yeah.
Tiffany's has the Robin's Egg Blue.
Yeah.
The Tiffany's box is so well known that if anyone takes it, it takes away from the Tiffany's name. So it's sort of like that give and take of it, but it's still
Such
like
hot bullshit.
It is.
Yeah.
Because it's different, right? It's a copyright and then trademark different
Correct.
from like the patent depending on what you want to protect.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can't protect like a new recipe for something, but you can protect a recipe book. So you have to make a book and put the recipes
Or
in.
if you keep it as a trade secret,
Right.
and you have reasonable rights to secrecy.
Exactly. It's just all these fancy little loopholes.
I'm gonna come up with my own 13 herbs and spices.
And they're all the same herb and spice?
Yeah. Salt. All salt. No one gets to use it.
It's Lowry's. You just basically peel the label off of Lowry's and slap a picture
Talk
of your
about
face.
mega sued. You sued a company for your product, and it turns out to be someone else's product.
Oh.
Damn, you lose.
You lose.
You're just like your product.
Yeah, it's Lowry's with Old Bay.
But doesn't it suck though? Like, let's say you're starting product development. A company knows that you're trying to copy or do something similar. They let you have success. They want you to have success so that
Right.
they can sue you and make more money.
Right.
At first, because they don't care if you're like not
Tap
getting
into
it
their
done.
pockets,
But once you
yeah.
start making money, it's like, well, now we can sue you.
Yeah, it's like now we can get a cut of that check.
Give me some of that
Have
cheddar.
some of that cheddar over.
Yeah, how about you have some of that bread over?
Damn, dude.
Such a slap in the face. You sitting there eating your food and somebody walk over with a fork. We get some of that. We get some of that.
And another question that I thought, to begin with, like again on the deaf and blind people, like even me with glasses, like if I didn't have glasses on, let's go back to like caveman times. It'd be hard to survive out there. Like it'd be hard to
dead. I'd be dead so fast.
I'd resort.
You be on the ground like Velma.
Well, the thing is, I'd resort to like stealing from people around because I don't have time to go find a bird or find an animal just spotted at a distance to go like hunt.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
gotta be a real gangster because I can't see anything else but elephants, and I've been hunting elephants my whole life.
Right, the animal's gotta be big enough to where I can see, or like
Stupid big.
where I'm gonna be stealing from the closest people next to me.
Or you gotta be monstrous at close combat. It's just like I can't see them, but when they come to me, that's it.
I mean, that's exactly what
My
happened.
man
But like,
suplex the elephant.
because I'm thinking like today there's probably a higher indice of like blind people and deaf people just because of the
They survive.
Because they survive.
Yeah, there are entire swaths of people that strictly survive because of advancements in society.
Oh,
If
yeah.
we were stuck out in the
We beat Darwinism.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we beat nature all the way down, damn near.
One of my friends is legally blind.
That's not to say that like blind people, deaf people, people in this
Yeah, that was a while, but
Yeah.
it was an objective.
Yeah,
like,
you guys,
and-
you guys do deserve to live, and you guys enjoy
yeah,
life.
nobody's denying that.
Yeah, you guys can do.
No, but in prehistoric times, if you were blind, you were to have it rough.
Yeah.
I think blind people understand that too. It's like, let's be honest with ourselves.
I mean, like they have it rough now.
right? They already have it rough in a world that's catered, specific or working on its way to being catered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like
To be fair, though, if you're blind, if you're deaf, you probably don't listen to this podcast, though.
Facts. Unless you really like us, you must be really committed to the cause.
You must like look at it.
Somebody's tapping on their shoulder. Damn.
What kind of maniac are you?
Psychopath.
Again, not to say, but like
I like looking at a piece of bread on a plate for an hour.
for an hour.
Man, I love this. The show rocks.
I wonder if it's finally gonna move.
Right? Oh.
That's somebody's drinking game?
Oh.
What you were saying, Mike?
But no, so, one of my friends is legally blind, and as I was talking to her and helping her do some stuff, I met her parents, and both of her parents are blind.
Really?
And yeah. And so I was like, well, one, like, you didn't have a chance with your eyesight, but two, like, it's incredible that, like, two people who are blind can meet each other, like, fall in love with a relationship and then have a child and also raise a child together.
How do you raise a kid when you're blind? Putting in that first diaper has got to be a nightmare.
Man, you know how many trial runs you got to get before you get the feces off that baby?
Right?
Yeah, like, it was like, I just thinking about all the little nuancy stuff in the date. Oh, man, that's crazy.
Being blind is
Dude,
rough.
I've gone grocery shopping with a blind person before. You know, like when seasonal shit happens and they like change up the store.
Yes.
It's just like what used to be here is now like.
That's got to be a nightmare.
Yeah, it's.
How come everything I bought is pumpkin spice? Fuck!
Where's the watermelon? Damn it!
Yeah, it can definitely be challenging.
Definitely.
for people who are disabled. But I mean, like companies now are definitely trying to get their shit together. Mainly because if they don't, they're gonna get the pantsuit off of them because you can't get by with not being accessible anymore.
Right. It's it's tough because I don't know. It's just a tough scenario. Like, yeah,
because they can't even participate. Like, apart from it being tough, right? Like, it is doing everyday things, going to the store, driving home, going to school. All those things are difficult. But like, even like you said your friend had parents that were blind and they raised her. Like, growing up is hard, right? Like, going through your teenage years, like, imagine...
trying to figure out how to beat it when you're blind.
Well, imagine...
You gotta get that patient. Woo, woo.
Well, dude,
you better make sure you know the full
actually,
steps.
you bring up a good point for men and women. Like,
I'm joking, but I've thought about that before.
Because when you're
fucked up, yeah,
when you're blind,
Yeah,
you know,
but
when
I
you
mean,
start
it's
going up, you look
natural,
at women,
all
you
of
get
us,
excited, or like women vice versa.
Right.
When you're blind, how does...
I'm sure you still get aroused, but you just...
is it a delayed arousal?
Right, or... Do you get? I'm sure you get aroused because it's hormonal, but I don't know exactly if they would know what it is. Do you know what it is? Like, can you?
So do they just feel like? So do you just feel like pure pleasure at that point, untainted? That must be actually. You know what?
Oh god.
Now I'm fascinated.
Well,
You take 2 forks, dig out his eyes, like now the game begins.
I'm just saying that's like pure. That's pure like pleasure, right? Untainted, because you're just. It's a strictly like your body's feeding you this desire, this urge, and you're just satiating it.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. It's
Now the waiting game begins.
That was a very gratuitous way to phrase it, but also, yeah. I mean, it's I don't know. It's tough. I just imagine if you're like a teenager, you're blind, but your parents, you know what I mean, everybody else you know can see, and you're in your room. It's like, how do you find time with this?
Because for me, you know, like
I guess a shower.
Yeah, I guess, but like even, it's gotta be rough. The teenage years is blind, like even social interactions.
Yeah, all types of little things.
Friendships, and today's day and age with so much social media.
Yeah, right.
How do they participate?
How do you? Yeah, with
no, I
Instagram.
mean like people who are disabled and blind still use social media just like everybody else.
And that's the thing. I was reading textbook
Text-to-speech?
reports saying that like blind people and deaf people use it just as much as the average user does.
Yeah.
Blind people included, like their numbers are very similar to the general population.
My mentor is blind, and I promise you, he uses his iPhone more than I do and better than I do.
Is it a lot of text to speech?
Yeah. So.
So there's more like their social media is just text based, right? It's more like
No, they still have images in their lives.
Well, no, they have images, but I mean they can't see them, so
they can't see them. But what happens is there is what's called alt text. Basically, what it does is a text description of an image.
Oh yeah, when you're adding an
like,
image to a website, you add alt. It's specifically for usability.
Yeah. So you might have like an image of like like a sports team logo or whatever. And when they get to that image, and obviously since they're blind, they can't see it. But what will happen is the assistive technology will read to them the alt text to it. So they'll be like, hey, this is an image of whatever team logo. And so they know that one, there's an image there, and two, what that image is of.
But do they do that with like your friends? Like let's say you're friends with your professor. You post a picture of us sitting here. Does the image say 5 guys sitting in living room?
If you write it to be that, then
yes. But you have to like...
Yeah, you have to...
Yeah. That's not something that like the computer automatically generates.
Yeah. And it's funny that you bring it up because even when building our personal website, I'm entering a lot of of alt text, but I'm also entering like, because it was just a suggestion that I saw from somebody online. They were like, "Oh, well, by the way, while you're building, add all this other stuff," and I never really thought about the accessibility side of it.
Yeah,
where
that's
it's
very
like,
important.
where it's like, because I'm as I'm building it, I'm building the basically. So when Twitter goes to a website, you know, like how it makes a mini blurb of the website. That's all built from the back end user or the back end developer deciding, like. It'll use this image. It'll be like it's already registered in the page. So when somebody downloads it or links to it in another website, it'll already be formatted in a way that's easy for them to access. But it's also usability. Yeah, the alt text is for those images that people can't see. So that's interesting.
So back to what Eddie was saying earlier, math's got to be a nightmare if you're blind.
Yeah. I
Like,
know there's a Braille system, and we looked at it, but I think it just complicates math even further.
I mean, a big differential equation, it's like 500 pieces of Braille.
Yeah, like a differential. I mean, going through an integral or going through a proof or writing down a full derivative, it's already long enough.
Yeah.
Imagine doing this in Braille twice the length.
Because you don't write in Braille though, do you? Do you write dot?
Well, you would. I don't know if you would write the dot. I think you would do that. I think they have like typewriters, don't they, that do that too?
Nowadays they do. They have a computer that.
Yeah.
Right,
I mean,
also
nowadays you're doing pretty much everything with computers.
Right.
But back in the day, before computers were really a thing, like you would have to have pretty much your entire math book in Braille, and that shit would be expensive.
And where do you find it?
I can imagine. Like I was saying earlier, it's probably the kind of thing where true, you have access, and I'm not saying that because you can't see, you're not going to become a mathematician, but I think it dissuades you from entering those kind of fields.
Well, to answer Nate's question, there are companies out there that specifically make things that are in Braille, but you have to request they make this particular thing.
That's gonna be expensive. Yeah.
Send them the book. Hey, we need this in Braille, and then they would take the book and then they would translate it in Braille.
Dollar bill, y'all.
Yeah.
Shit talking mushrooms, man.
Yeah, man.
And then to follow up on Eddie's point, higher level math can be discouraging for people who aren't disabled.
True.
So it can definitely be even more difficult if you have an extra hurdle that you have to jump over. Yeah. But that's not to say that they can't do it.
No, not to say that they can't.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't do it and I'm not disabled, so I couldn't imagine being disabled and having to try and do that.
He learned geometry in Braille. He is the most interesting man in the world.
Yeah, not to say that it doesn't. I think it probably would be another obstacle though. But that's just life.
It's an extra +1 on the hurt.
Yeah, and that's life. We all got obstacles to hurdle through, and it is what it is. You get dealt the hand that you get dealt, and I read this excerpt yesterday that it was, people say when life gives you lemons, you make lemonade, and then this author said, and I'll have to look it up, but he said, nah, when life gives you lemons, you just have to suck it up and eat the lemons. There's no real making lemonade, because making lemonade doesn't always work.
Right.
Sometimes you just gotta eat the lemons.
And eat the rind.
And enjoy
Whoa.
Eat all of it.
Yeah, that was...
Was that give you super high fiber? Eat the rind?
The rind's high, yeah. It's high in oils, too. There's a bunch of oils contained in this.
Limonene.
Pardon?
Limonene.
Did you make him a word?
The gentle way.
I like lamb.
I like those.
Oh yeah, and that was...
I like turtles.
That excerpt was from Mark Manson, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Oh, that's
Charles Manson?
Yeah.
Mark Manson.
The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck.
Very good.
Excellent. Yeah, it's a very good book. If you're listening out there, please read it.
Yeah.
I'm actually in the process of reading it now. I forgot that I got to a certain chapter and then
stop giving a fuck. So you're doing good.
Yeah,
it's a very good read. I'm also in the progress of reading it, and I highly recommend it.
Nathaniel does not recommend the reading of any book ever.
Nate's got a jihad on books.
Yes. I'm a book man.
Yeah. I'll probably start doing that week after week, bring a little book that suggestive reading.
The Eddie moments.
Corner with Pat Cassette.
Pappy Sanchez?
Like
As you puff your pipe?
In a bathroom.
In a bathroom with nothing underneath.
Hey, I mean, the other day Monday I passed out listening to light jazz at 4:30.
Are you 75?
So, take it for what it's worth. I'm the youngest one here.
Yeah, what the hell? Yeah, you are the youngest one here. What are you, 17?
Listening to the smooth sound of the quiet storm.
Listen to Kitty G.
Hey, it was a blissful sleep, though. It was a nice little break. My girl didn't even hear Mike. He saw me, was like,
Bruh, Eddie an old head, bro. Like, I don't care. You and Darius, the oldest dudes I know, dog.
Who?
Yeah, like it's like I don't know how y'all do it. Y'all grown. Y'all definitely grown. That's for sure.
you gotta appreciate the simple things in life.
I guess so. My man said he fell asleep at 4:30 p.m. with the lights. Did you fall out with a Denny's run? While you at it?
Oh shit. Well, I guess that's
Nah, I'm also old. I have always loved rocking chairs. Always.
Really?
rocking chairs are where it's at, man.
Rocking chairs are fucking phenomenal.
Dude, yeah, you get a nice rocking chair, or you get one with like the little leg extender.
I'm a fan of laying down on carpet.
Yeah, if the carpet's nice, I'm totally comfortable. Well, this guy likes carpet, but
Hey, when you want to eat dinner, I'm down with sitting on the floor and eating at a table like a little kid.
Oh, dude, I do that all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's where it's at.
I ate dinner on the ground 2 days ago. Well,
I do it brunch every day.
Sunday actually I did.
I'm a big kid
Yeah,
now.
sometimes a nice flat surface is good.
Concrete's not very comfortable to lay on, though. Concrete kind of hurts.
Concrete's not good for anything else but the car.
Yeah.
It sucks.
It hurts to walk on.
Yeah, it's
For real.
bad for your joints. Yeah.
What are you doing here? What is this?
I'm signing. That's what I'm doing.
That was a sign?
Yeah.
Is that sign for Ice Cream
I
Swirl?
was just asking. I think we've reached the end of the line on this one.
Yeah, this is a good stopping point. I agree with. So, I guess this has been another episode of the Pumpernickel podcast. Follow us on Twitter, of course,
At Pumpernickel Pod.
At Pumpernickel Pod. The website's currently in development. Actually, we're almost done with that, and so I'll probably be posting links to the website as well as possible pictures in the near future of all of us assholes. And some other things on the website as well, so it might become the central part.
Maybe caricatures of us.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I'd be happy to give that a shot.
You could do that, or we could send. We could send that out. We'll worry about all of that later. Actually, let's go ahead and finish signing off of. Yeah.
Also, side note, for any of our fans that are listening right now that are disabled, if any of the shit that we said was completely off the mark,
We want to know.
We want to know.
Oh, yeah.
Also, if you have any,
Contact us.
Yeah, any like advice or input or anything that you want to provide, by all means, leave it in the comment section.
That was benevolent ignorance. We meant no harm. It's just literal ignorance.
We are just simply curious.
Yeah.
Right.
Just so any information, email us. What's the email again, Mr. Pumpernickel Pod?
The pumpernickelpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah. Send us a tweet.
Send us an email.
Comment on YouTube.
Reach out. Yeah.
Whatever.
All right, guys.
Thank you.
We're out.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah. Thanks for listening.
Both of y'all.